Yo, J Maya back with another video. Cruising to the VA hospital. I got a little bit of ride, so I figured I'd make a video on something. I was going to make one that was a little more controversial than I needed to be, but I'm already targeted. But it's just here. I just want to ask the question for targeted people. Who's not targeted? Who's the one group that have a lot of influence and you don't see anything about them being targeted? I wonder who's behind the targeting. I think we now know. I solved that mystery. But anyway, another thing I want to talk about is civil liberties, and your civil liberties being eroded. In some ways, they've been eroded through a police state, through taking away your constitutional rights, and now through this pandemic. If you want to talk about the loss of civil liberties and the Constitution being infringed upon, you need to go way, way back to a man named Abraham Lincoln. In this country, Abraham Lincoln is deified like he was some great dude that freed the slaves and blah, 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 blah. Yo, that's a bunch of bogus lies, man. He was a serious racist. Even he didn't free any slaves. He made what is the Emancipation Proclamation. All that did was allow slaves to run away to the other states, and he did that just to hurt Southern economy, and it was a war tactic. Abraham Lincoln was a tyrant. Abraham Lincoln, he was elected with less than 40% of the popular vote, so somewhere in the 30s, and he ran on a radical platform to triple tariffs. Was one of the big reasons that the war started, was economics. It's all economics, man. All wars are about money and tariffs and self-sovereignty. When the South seceded, they did so peacefully by convention, and they even tried to make a peace treaty with Abraham Lincoln, who wouldn't accept it. Now, according to the Declaration of Independence, if any time you see a government that's not serving the needs of the people, you have the right to leave that government that's being infringed upon and form new government. But Lincoln said, nah, homie, we're going to keep the Union together by force. Every other country in the world got rid of slavery without a war. When that war started, slavery was on the decline. Since Jefferson, Virginia had legislation trying to get rid of slavery. Many people, like some of the founding fathers, freed their slaves. Slavery was dying a slow, painful death. It wasn't economically feasible anymore. It wasn't about that. It was about the Union. It was about self-government. It was about the power in the country being put in the industrial North, and the South being paying super high tariffs to export their products, and that the amount of, when they stopped slave states, it meant that the balance of power was going to shift towards the North. So it means votes, which means more representatives. It means more votes. It means more power in the House, more power in the Senate, more power to pass the laws they want to, and that the South would be in subjugation to the North. That's why they seceded, because there was no benefit for them staying in the Union, but to be subjugated to the wills of the Northern populace and to their whims. In fact, Jefferson Davis offered in that peace treaty to free all the slaves. And Lincoln said, in order to keep a peace treaty. And Lincoln said, nah, it's about the Union. So, and Jefferson Davis also offered to pay for all the federal garrisons in the South that were there, that were on states areas, to pay them back the money for those posts. The South tried to leave peacefully and democratically, and Lincoln wasn't having it. So what he did is he sent ships down to reinforce the federal garrison at Fort Sumter. Well, they sent down a whole fleet of ships, knowing that the South would see it. These ships actually bypassed and went to Florida, but from the intent of what the South saw, they saw a federal garrison being reinforced, being an act of war. That's why they fired on Fort Sumter, because Lincoln provoked them to fire on Fort Sumter by sending reinforcements of guns, powder, ammunition, men, and warships. He provoked them because he wanted the war. So after that, what does he do? They fire on Fort Sumter. He invades another sovereign state. He doesn't go to South Carolina. He doesn't ship ships down the coast and men. In fact, South Carolina and North Carolina weren't taken until the end of the war. Fort Fisher was one of the last posts to be taken in Wilmington, North Carolina. I know that because I used to live there. It's where I grew. It's one of the places I grew up. But anyway, so what's he do? He invades the sovereign state of Virginia, another country that had nothing to do with South Carolina. And he sends a huge force of a northern army into that state and attacks it. What are those people supposed to do? Lincoln was a tyrant. Not only did Lincoln, what he did total war on the South. When those armies went through, they raped women, they pillaged everything, they destroyed everything that was there, they stole all the food, allowing the people to starve to death. Look at, what was that? Can't remember the name of the place right now. Vicksburg. Vicksburg, the people sealed up the city. They dug hills in the hole. They dug living quarters in the hills. They called them prairie dog houses, because the federal army indiscriminately shelled those cities. They made war against men, women, and children. They also went in and they killed slaves. They stole slaves. They killed slaves. They led slaves. They burned down black churches. They raped indiscriminately slave women. They took everything. They stole everything. They destroyed everything. Like I said, they raped women. They starved out children and women. He made war against civilians. What they did, shelling Vicksburg and shelling Atlanta and shelling the capital of Virginia, I can't even think right now. Those are war crimes. When we saw carpet bombing in World War II, people was like, that's awful. When Hitler accidentally bombed London, and then they started bombing civilian towns, and all the civilians got affected. But before that, Lincoln had armies doing the same thing to the southern populace who had tried to get out peacefully, and Lincoln forced a war. Not only that, Lincoln was a racist. He had all the freaking Indians. His policy against the Indians was genocidal. They slew like all these Comanches and all these other tribes under Lincoln. Sherman was a bastard. Sherman was, he was a cutthroat gun thug for Abraham Lincoln. Before and after, he killed Indians, he killed Southerners, he killed anybody. The man had no dignity, no honor. He's a vile person in history. But Lincoln wasn't freeing no slaves. He didn't even want blacks, after slavery ended, to vote. He didn't want the black vote. He didn't want black representatives. He didn't think, he wasn't some guy who held the country together. He started a war that killed nearly 700,000 people and deathly injured many more times of the population. He sent over 3 million people into the South and killed and wounded total over, like I said, 700,000 people killed and wounded, like another way past that figure. You're talking in over 1 million. You're talking maybe 1.5. You're talking millions of people that were wounded. No arms, no legs. It was about taking over and conquering the South. If they couldn't do it with legislation, Lincoln was going to do it by force. He federalized the country. The reason the federal government is so strong today is Lincoln was the end of the Hamiltonians, who wanted strong central government. Lincoln had a central bank come up, and he was in the pockets of the Jewish people, man. the Jewish banks, who always run and finance these wars. Who do you think finances? They finance both sides of the war. They made money off of. They made money off all the wars. It's just I'm giving you the facts. They make money off of turmoil. These banks do. So Lincoln, tyrant, total tyrant. And that's where you get the federalized system being so strong today, that your federal government is stronger than your state government, which wasn't the Jeffersonian way of coming together during the Declaration of Independence. It was the states were sovereign. They had their own laws, their own ability to direct themselves. And coming into the Union was voluntary. So if they came in voluntary, they believed that they could leave voluntary. But Abraham Lincoln kept them in there by force, and now your federal government is stronger than your state government. You know, that's why feds can come in and oversee things and put policy into a state, man. It's tyranny. Then you got guys like Woodrow Wilson, Teddy Roosevelt, who these guys were tyrants as well, man. You got the Federal Reserve that came through. You got overseeing. The other thing that Lincoln did was, man, he put like thousands of people in jail just for speaking out against him in the war without trial. The guy was a tyrant, man. He wasn't some great savior of the country, man. If he hadn't happened, we'd have a different country. We'd have two countries today, but you would have had peaceful resolution. You know, just like everybody else did about slavery. England did about slavery. South America did. It died its own death. But here, 700,000 people died, and it wasn't over slavery. But as things have gone along, now you've lost more and more constitutional rights, and a lot of that has come through the police state. I'll give you an example. They got stop and ID laws. In some states are stop and ID. They can just ask you for an ID, which they really shouldn't be able to do. But a lot of states, unless you've committed a crime, or they have reasonable suspicion or probable cause of a crime you have committed, are committing, or about to commit, they can't ask you for ID. They can't ID you, but they will anyway. And then if you don't give it to them, they'll arrest you for obstruction. Can you sue them? Yeah, but you got to go through You got to go through all the problem is the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court rules against the Constitution. They're supposed to uphold the Constitution, but you got federal judges that have more power. Their power, when they rule on a case, it's what takes precedent. This such versus the state of whatever, you know, this person versus that person. These cases, they hold more weight today, and they set precedent by the Supreme Court than the Constitution does. Like if you get pulled over by a police officer, they can make up any fake reason to get you. Now, you have to consent to talk, you have to consent, you have to consent to search and seizures, all that kind of stuff. But they will anyway. How'd they get away from stuff like this, man? They'll pull you over, they can get you out of the car for no reason for their safety. And they can Terry frisk you for a weapon, though you haven't done anything. Though they should not allowed to do that either without probable cause, but they do, and they get away with it. They'll search you. I've been straight up searched. I've been stripped down to my boxers without probable cause. These, if they want to search your vehicle and you don't consent, they can make up reasons. Like one thing they'll pull over all the time, I smell marijuana, I smell weed. All they got to do is make a lie, say I smell weed, and next thing they're in their car. Another way they get away from your right of search and seizure is canines. They bring canines to your vehicle and they can go around your vehicle. They're allowed to by law. Now, you have enough time. If you get pulled over for, say, speeding, it should take approximately 20 minutes to write a ticket. So they have the amount of time in which you can write a ticket, and this was held by the Supreme Court, to get a dog there. If it's longer than that and they're holding you for a dog, they've done broken that law and you got a case. But they can run the dog around your car, and if the dog alerts on your car, they can search your vehicle. They make the dog alert. All they got to do is do a certain sign or tap on the car or point a certain way, or however they got that dog trained. They can make the dog alert, and they do all the time. And they'll get in your vehicle and they'll search your vehicle. They can plant crap in your vehicle too. So it's crazy. You know, in open carry states, man, you can walk down the road with a weapon, which is your right according to open carry, and they'll still come over, put you in handcuffs, take your weapon off you, try to ID you, arrest you for obstruction. So they're taking away that amendment right. And now what's going on with the coronavirus is they are enacting even more stuff against you. They're limiting your freedoms. You can't be out here. You can't go to work. There's places now that got blockades. You got to go through and have the proper papers to get through. There's curfews. They're enforcing against your freedom, and people are buying it up in the name of public safety. Bogus, man. I'd rather die free than live as a slave. Have some balls, people. Have some fucking balls. I'm sorry for my cussing, but man, it makes me so angry, man, how people are just handing over their freedoms, man, in fear, out of fear and panic and chaos. If you die, you die. Get with it. You're gonna die anyway, homie. Good gracious, I've died before. I died when I was 12 years old, man. I've been dead. Get over it. When it's your time to die, you're gonna die. It's in God's hands. It's in the Most High's hands. So stop being scared, so scared of death. We all gotta die. You need to care about where your soul's going. So watch how you're living your life and how you're treating people, man. How you're doing people, man. And what are you doing with your sin? Because it's gotta be covered. You know, it sets you apart, man. And that's what Yeshua HaMashiach came for. But man, I mean, stop giving away your freedoms and giving into tyranny because you're scared. Grow a pair. Grow a pair. Everybody's so scared to die, man. Gets on my nerves. I don't want to die. Who wants to die? But we're all gonna die. So get over it. Make peace with it. You know, I was in a wreck. I probably shared this before. I was in a wreck with my sister, and we were coming back from the VA. We were hydroplaning down the road. We went going down a mountain. We hydroplaned, and we started spinning in circles. And at that moment in time, I thought I was dead, because we were completely out of control, spinning at 50 miles an hour down a mountain. And she's screaming. My sister, she's screaming. Ah! And I was just cool as a cucumber, man. I had so much peace. I wasn't scared. I wasn't worried. I was like, yo, guess what? I guess this is it, homie. It's been a good run. People try to kill me my whole life. I should have been dead when I was 12, and somebody put a hit out on me when I was 19. I should have been dead then, and I should have been dead when I was 27 when I got another one put on me, and I should have been dead when Terry and them tried to take me out to a secluded park and kill me. I had to hop out the car 2 hours from my house and draw a gun on them. I should have been dead when MS tried to take me out, and they grabbed me up. They put their arms around me and try to get me, and I had to draw down at them. I should have died when folk was trying to get me, and I'm cool with them. I'm cool with them now. I got peace with all these people, man. But thankfully, I knew an OG that got me out of that. They was following me, so that was back about 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago. I should have been dead then. Should have been dead when I got poisoned. I'm still here. So I was thinking, this is my time. This is it, yo. So wasn't scared at all, man. I was at complete peace, man. There's nothing to fear in death, man. But there's something to fear in life. Being a slave, having all your liberty taken away, man. Living as a freaking slave to the system, a slave to the cops, a slave to the elite, man. The slave to the rich and powerful. I ain't about it. So grow some balls, man. Stop being so scared of your own shadow. Everything they puts out there makes you scared. You know? Stop being scared. You're scared, you got an issue. Figure out what's going on and get some peace inside. You know? Maybe if you wasn't lying and stealing and cheating all the time, man, and doing people wrong, man, and being greedy and living for yourself, you want to have nothing to worry about. You'd have a little peace. So fine, you need to figure out what's broke on the inside of you and put it together and get rid of that fear. You know? I don't have fear, man. The Most High knows me. He knows everything I've done. Every time I've done it, I knew he was right there. My sins, I know he was there. I have no excuses. So what's to be scared of? What's going to happen is going to happen. Accept it. Move on. But stop letting them take your virus and enslave your children, man, and children's children. Because when they start enslaving you, they can oppress you in any matter of falsehood. They can come in your house and arrest you, throw you in a cage for the rest of your life, or they freaking torture you behind walls, or take you to a FEMA camp, or steal your children and rape them and murder them. You need to start worrying about crap like that, because once your rights go, they can do whatever they want to you, and you have no recourse. If you have no guns, you got no safety. You can't even protect your own family. So you need to get some balls. Because there's a lot of things worse than death. An oppressed life. Figure it out. I'm done. I just want people to stand up and stop letting their rights be taken. Right now, you can't even buy a gun either, so they've been with that, because all the non-essential personnel are gone, so they can't do background checks, so you can't get a weapon. And you got gun legislation coming. If the Democrats get into the house, then they're gonna infringe on your gun rights, which they want to take away all assault rifles, which all these mass shootings, nobody gets. It's always a pistol. It's always a handgun. What's the difference? They want to limit the amount of rounds like California does. They just want to make it so if they want to infringe upon you and they want to enslave you, you can't fight back. You can't have an assault rifle to fight back. You can't have strong weapons to fight back. They already got stronger weapons. They got drones. They got tanks. They got grenade launchers and grenades. And what do we have? A 5.56 round? Give me a break. It's a glorified 22, and they want to take that from you too. Just because you can shoot many rounds and shoot them accurately at a distance and semi-automatic. Give me a break. Stand up for your rights, people. Stop being scared. You know? Will you be targeted? Yeah, you'll be targeted just like me. But guess what? At least I got some honor and some dignity left. With all my sins and all my bad doings, I still got some dignity. I still got some honor. I still got a code that I live by, and they're not going to take that from me. They're not going to take my code, and they're not going to take my honor, man. You know? Do I do bad things? Yep, I sure do. Sex is a big one for me. It's hard, man. It's a bad one that I struggle with. But still, man, I don't rob people, I don't steal to people, I don't lie to people. I don't treat people badly. I got a code. At least I got a code, and I got some honor and some dignity to myself. So at least if I die, I got that, man. I got some respect. Because right now, man, if you let all that go and you sell everything out, you done sold your soul. You got nothing left. Who are you? You're a shell and a coward. So don't be a coward. You know, fight for what's right, and fight for, you know, what people died for, man. I got friends that died. I had 12 soldiers that died. Did they die for nothing? Hopefully they died for something. I can't make no sense of it. Especially when people just handing over their freedoms, man. It's like a spit in the face to every soldier that I had that died, man. All of them, man. You might as well just spit on Kruger's grave and spit on Cap's grave, because you don't care, because you're just handing over what they fought for, what they died for. So have some respect. Anyway, I'm out. Be blessed.